back for a straight live, straight talk. Basically what happened is camera failure.
Yeah.
So I couldn't put out a regular video, so I figured, why don't we just do it live? Just share our experiences of what we ran across. It was Delta June 9th, and weather, what was the weather? That was a long time ago. It was only a couple days.
It was hot. It was it had some wind. It wasn't, I wore a sweater and pants in the morning. It wasn't freezing cold, but
it was forecasted to be windy.
Yeah.
It was not windy.
No, it was not windy at all.
It actually, there was a time in that day that I was ready to go home.
Yeah, I wish there was some wind.
Yeah, it was hot as heck, and definitely wasn't pleasant or fun.
No, but it was still a good time.
Days started out like 60 something.
Yeah.
Mid 60s, I think. Started out mid 60s and then topped out at like low 90s.
And the tide was on that. Incoming at when we got there. We left the ramp at about 5:30 in the morning, and the tide was incoming at that point in time.
Yeah, there was about an hour of incoming before it topped out, and then it was outgoing the rest of the day.
Hey, Getsy.
Getsy boy. Part of the premise of this is Getz and Matlock, and him and I had a friendly bet of basically hot dogs for B&W.
Yeah.
Whoever had the biggest single fish of the day would get hot dogs. Yeah. Basically, it was like $10, but ended up being hot dogs. So good, good hot dogs, good fishing. And you'll stay tuned to find out who won, who got the free hot dogs, and who didn't.
Yeah.
Water clarity was pretty clear, actually. There was some muddy areas. The area between B&W and Tower Park is like a darker, chalkier mud. Or I guess it should be main channel. But it wasn't like chocolate milk. It's definitely lightening up every time. Was Champ kind? 5:30 a.m. You guys were running late? Yeah.
That was leaving the house at 4:45.
Yeah, we definitely.
That was plenty early enough.
Hey, Kurgan. Big John.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get Big John on a Straight Legends video here soon.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
That'd be kind of cool. He gets to tell some cool stories. Starting out the day, we went down main channel. I guess I'll just say it. Owl Harbor area.
That's not where we went.
Isn't that what it's called?
That's not where we went.
Oh, shoot. I didn't even... Never mind. We went to Potato. I forgot. Duh. I got farther down the day. We went to Potato trying to catch the end of the outgoing tide.
Incoming.
End of the incoming tide. It's been a long week, guys.
Yeah, so
it's been a really long week.
We went to.
It's only Wednesday. I'll let him talk.
We went to Potato and went to some of the islands and started fishing some of the islands. Some of the things that we typically do and run down. We started with some frogs. I think I started off with the chatterbait, and I was throwing the jackhammer. It's like a citrus shad, green shad, something.
Green shad is what it's called.
With a Kitech on it. Kitech, if you notice, is upside down. I picked these up off the bottom of the boat and run them. And
there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
And that's bluegill flash. I don't think the bait itself matters.
No, I don't think the color matters. But it's whatever bait that we pull off A-rigs and throw down there, because I could get them hooked up because I'm hanging them upside down, right?
And it's got different keeper locations.
Right. And that, for some reason, I really I like the way it works in the water. It kicks back and forth on each other, and it straight gets eaten. But I was throwing that. I think I picked up a fish right away on the outside, throwing that. James was throwing
fishing the islands of Potato.
Yeah, we tried whopper ploppers. James was throwing a frog.
I did get a boil on a frog, but small boil, not big. It was like 60s water, like the weather. The water was in the low 70s.
Yeah, it wasn't
something like that.
It didn't feel froggy.
Yeah,
and it didn't really
it didn't feel top watery.
No, it didn't feel like anything from the top should be eaten.
And we kind of proved that one with picking up the lower water column baits, the chatterbait. Had you picked up the Cinco yet by then in there?
I don't think I picked up the Cinco yet. I think
I had thrown the Silly Sally in there.
Yeah.
And they weren't having it. Nothing was even coming up on that. Which is a wake bait. It's made by Expedition Baits out of Oregon.
Yeah.
Just a small town guy. Good bait, solid bait. Just small town guy though, or small. It's just one guy for the whole company.
Yeah.
He's like 19 or 20. Good bait.
Yeah.
We didn't like a potato. I don't know if you guys have been to potato recently, but it sets up different. A lot of the areas that we're fishing on the islands have like tules and stuff. A lot of those tules are gone.
Yeah.
And then the weeds that were there with them are kind of gone too. Like there's an area that, like there's a boat lane to go in between the tules and you could just drive wherever. There was no lane. You could just drive right across the flat.
And
so it's kind of different.
Something that we noticed too is looking over on the bank, on the riprap type stuff, the rock, where there's usually tules, there was not very many tules at all.
Yeah, there's like a couple sparse tules versus there used to be a solid tule bank for a good chunk of that, and then spot tules after that, and now there's just spot tules where the solid tules used to be. Yeah. So I'm not sure, haven't spent much time in there, but they definitely set up different in there. So I'm not 100% sure, which is kind of scary because potatoes where I do a lot of my fishing, and I don't doubt that the fish are still there. I just don't know where they've moved to or what they changed. Bomber T says, ever since I switched to a full-size aluminum bass boat, it's been a game changer for me on the Delta. Yeah. Oh, and one-hand fishing. What's happening one-hand fishing? Being able to run main channel makes a big difference on the Delta.
Yeah. Being able to just move around, right?
Yeah. Being able to move around and get to places faster, being able to run tides, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Again, back to potato. We didn't really catch any fish. Where did we punch? Did we punch those fish first?
No.
We came back to potato, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we went there in the morning, wasn't really having it. It went to slack tide really fast. And when it went to slack tide, we decided we were going to move towards the incoming tide. So we went to Owl Harbor then.
Yeah.
Going to Owl Harbor, we fished around in there. I got a blow up on that Silly Sally, but did not hook up. It felt it for like a half a second. I need to change the hooks on it.
Yeah.
May not even have ate it all the way anyways. We were still throwing frog. We were still throwing a bunch of like active stuff. Then you
picked up a Cinco. So I'm throwing this is like, what is it called? It's a laminate. It's a green pumpkin with a red flake. And I've just wacky rigged it.
6-inch.
Yeah, 6-inch. And I just throwing it out there and dead sticking it. And I started picking up some fish. And
even including dinks.
Yeah, dinks were eating it. There was one dink
on the 6-inch
that ate it. And it's just the ends of the worm were sticking out of its mouth. I don't even know how it ate the hook.
Yeah. Yeah, it was legit. Like the hook was buried into its mouth and both ends of the 6-inch are sticking out. So it had to have T-boned that thing and nailed it like perfect. But basically you were throwing that Cinco into like the foot of the tules.
Yes.
So all that stuff that was on the tules, he was just kind of hitting those there.
Letting you work the front and work what you can, like an active bait, frogging. I think you were still throwing frog at that time.
I was throwing frog and the the Silly Sally.
Yeah.
It's kind of going between those two. I hadn't given up on the topwater bite because it's topwater.
Yeah.
And then he gave up, went to the Cinco, and then shortly after that, I think I even picked up the Cinco. I wasn't getting bid on it yet though. Yeah. And then we got into kind of like the main channel. Well, main, it's not that deep there, but we got out off of the bank, and off in that middle trough, you picked up crankbait fish.
I picked up what is it? Berkeley
Fritz-side 5.
In the red color. It's ghost red craw. And James said, "Have you ever caught one on that yet?" And I said, "No."
Like literally like the next cast.
And,
Have you ever caught a fish? Because I like the Fritz-side 5, and he's only bought it because I like throwing them, and I really like throwing that ghost red craw on the Delta. There's other lakes it works on, but that on the Delta specifically, I like the ghost red craw. And I swear it was either that cast or the cast after that. He's bam. Oh, yep. Now I have.
There's one.
So then we moved off of that, went to throwing Cincos in that area. Wasn't really like going.
No.
We watched the guy catch a fish. I don't remember. Oh, he was throwing top water of some sort.
Yeah.
Some sort of walking bait. I'm thinking a frog, but he caught one on a frog. And again, near Tules. Yep. So then we moved to another section of that area, started throwing down there. And that's when I started picking up fish on my Cinco. This one is watermelon slice in the 5-inch. And then I have it on my chintzy little hook that I like so much. And it's literally made by Eagle Claw, and it's selling at Walmart for like super cheap. But it's one of those wire keepers that doesn't unload when you go through Tules. I can throw this anywhere, and as long as I slow roll it, I can tick this through everything, and it just rock crawls and 4-wheel drives through all of it.
What line are you throwing that on?
This has a leader on it, but I run 20-pound straight braid, and I don't even know what leader this is. This is left over from a lake. It's fluorocarbon. I don't think the leader matters whatsoever, but I throw it on straight braid, 20-pound. You were picking up a lot more on Cinco though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm throwing it on 15-pound braid, and it was straight braid.
Yeah,
I think that I was throwing. But yeah, no, they were straight eating this, just dead sticking and throwing it in. I think mainly probably because I was sticking with it more.
Yeah, I definitely was bounced around like BB in a tin can.
Yeah.
I throw it on a spinning rod. If you guys don't notice, I throw my Cinco on spinning rod, straight braid. This is a Dobbins 702. This is before they make Fury, but it's the same rod as Fury. It's just this is the older than one, but it's the Dobbins 702 Fury. Same one I throw drop shot on.
Yeah.
You were picking up fish with that, and then I don't know why, but something just felt right. I picked up spinnerbait. This is the Dobbins Beast, and in the Dobbins Beast with imagine there's a tail on this. This is a 3/8 Kitech, and then this isn't citrus bad, it's like glimmer blue or something like that. With the double willow, of course, one with the gold on there. And I started picking up a lot of fish on the outside, like not in the Thule lines or any of that, but like out in the weeds. And there was a lot of bait out in that area, and I think that's what they were going on. Picked up a couple of different fish, one that was like 2.5, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were hammering this thing, like slacklining it, where you're reeling it along and all of a sudden it just goes dead and you swing and get hooked up into it. Oh, we got all sorts of comments.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Right at the top.
Oh, Bomber T, getting in areas that glass boats can't. Yes, that's true. Or unless you don't care about your boat. you get into those areas anyways, even when you shouldn't, and it may leave a little bit of scratches and marks on the bottom of them. I haven't done that with my current boat, but I've done that with my old boat. My current boat, I am a little more mindful, and you're getting in way farther than I am.
And we took my boat. We took my boat on the night, so
yeah. This trip that we're talking about, we took his boat.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice to be passenger.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of nice to just sit in the passenger seat and take a nap as you're driving to the next site. Kurgan, it's crazy how basically all the tools on the riprap and potato. All toolies on the riprap and potato and basically disappeared. Not sure why, because of the big spring blowing it, or who knows. I know there was a lot of tide current last year, or rain current that came through there, and it knocked out a lot of toolies in a lot of places. I'm not sure if they're the pellets that they're doing in that area, because there's certain areas of potato that you could tell they came through and sprayed or did something to them.
Yeah.
It killed a lot of that stuff that we normally fish. And it actually was part of the reason why we were like, yeah, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
When the state sprays in the Delta, it changes old ambush points for fish. Yeah, like I was just saying. It felt like it would just set up different. Like we almost need to relearn that whole area, because it was just, it felt so different that was there. They may be in the same places, but it feels like we need to change it up. Spraying needs to go away, and they need to remove it with
barges like in Texas.
Yeah, barges like in Texas. Yeah, I could see them doing that. They have a lot of surface area to do it. Like the Delta, like the amount of miles of waterways is not as easy as being able to drive around. I understand why they spray, because technically fishing is low on their totem pole of what they care about. They only care about getting water to LA. They don't necessarily care so much about the fishing. But yeah, that spraying is definitely, I think, affecting a lot of it.
Yeah, it definitely hurting the water.
In Texas, they have an excavator on a barge, and it's way more effective. Oh, that's badass. I want to be that operator. That's the guy I want to. That's the job I want. I want to just excavate bushes or shrubbery or whatever in Texas. Your own. Yeah, make my own little pile, and then I could, like, on a big flat where no one thinks there's anything, and just dig a little trench across the big flat that only I know about. I mean, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Bomber T has an Express. I have not actually seen an Express in person. I only hear about it on Low Budget Live, which might be where you got your idea from, or just doing research. I've always seen them in magazines and stuff, but never seen one in real life. And I'm sure with a 250 on a 21 aluminum, that thing probably hums along pretty good. That's badass. So we basically, with picking up the spinnerbait fish, we covered water a lot of the times. If we did not see, so you have like toolies on the bank. If there was not weeds out in front of those toolies, and I'm not talking about topped out weeds, I mean like in the water weeds, we weren't getting bit. They had to have that submerged vegetation in that area. And then we moved on from there, got out of that area, and that's where we went.
And by this time, the tide's already switched. It's incoming now. We got incoming tide the whole time.
Yeah, so we moved.
Oh, no, outgoing.
Outgoing, sorry. Yeah, outgoing. So we moved to potato to try and hit it on the outgoing, thinking maybe that would set them up different. And we were kind of right, kind of not. Again, back to, I think that place sets up different now, and we have to kind of learn how it is. In the middle of that, I think I picked up Punch first. Yeah. So I picked up Punch. This is, what color is this? God dang it. crawdaddy color in the Rage Bug. Was the reason why I did crawdaddy is because it was already on my hook from previous trip, and this is the same bait that I've been using all day plus the previous trip. Haven't even changed it. It's not even ready to get changed out. I really like these baits and how durable they are. Started punching the pennywort.
Yeah,
Pennywort.
And some dead stuff too.
And some dead stuff, and getting bit in that, and just kind of the shallower cover.
Yeah.
Because there's not much cover in some of these areas like there normally is.
Yeah.
So we're just pitching this along, punching through stuff, picking up fish. Nothing big though, like all 2 pounds,
yeah,
something around there. Getting bit and being like kind of consistent, like as you're going along, you pick one every so often.
Yeah.
But not like lights out punching. And this is either 3/4 or 1 ounce, I forgot which, but I was getting through all the stuff. And this is on that 7-Eleven Extra Heavy X Pride. What else? You picked up some chatterbait fish on the outside edge.
I was picking up chatterbait, still running the same jackhammer on the outside. I'm partial to the shad type baits. I haven't really got into those matte baits, those greens,
the darker,
and
the browns,
darker
all
baits.
that.
I haven't really gotten into those. I do better. Mainly, I think it's just more confidence for that shad type bait.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to match the hatch.
Yeah, trying to match the hatch.
Trying to match the hatch and throw
throw
more of the shad type bait to get that reaction. I was throwing it, and I did hook up on a striper up in the tulies in the middle of stuff, and
sparse tulies.
I thought at first that, all right, I got the winning fish here.
Yeah. We're gonna get free hot dogs with this one.
Yeah, we're getting some hot dogs, and it hit, and it stopped my bait, and I was holding it, and there was not really much I could do with it, but it was going left and right, but it only had like a 8-foot pocket that it was in, and it was just going left and right in that pocket.
Yeah, when I was running back for the net, when I turned my head, it was BBing a tin cannon back and forth, and as I'm going to grab the net, I was like, I bet you that's a striper. Yeah. Like, it's just going too crazy.
And as soon as I got it out of that hole, I could see the line side.
Yeah.
Flipped it in the boat. It was a 2.8.
Yeah, it was a good fish.
It was a decent striper, but not the species that we were looking for. And,
yeah.
But it was still fun, right?
Yeah. We almost kept it to weigh in for the final hot dog total.
Yeah, because they never specified what species.
Technically didn't say, but then we thought, all right, well, if it dies, then we got to clean it and all that extra jazz, so we didn't. Yeah. I think after that, we moved out of there, went down main channel towards Stockton area, fished some other areas that are in that's where we ran into a ton of boats, that glass house area. I don't know what it's technically called. When you're driving down main channel, there's a glass house on the right-hand side. When I say glass house, the whole front of it is like glass, and it's a tapered area. We were fishing in that area. I don't know what it's called. But we were fishing in that area, and then we were punching. You caught a punch fish in there. Yeah. I caught some more punch fish. I pretty much switched to punch for the rest of the day, punch or Cinco. Yeah. And then you were throwing pretty much, once I started hooking up on punch fish, you were like, I want one.
Yeah, I want to join the party.
So he picked one up.
I was throwing the net baits. This is Tilapia Magic. And
these are like cheap baits.
These are cheap.
They're durable and cheap.
But they're like super durable. And they're, good looking little bait.
Beaver style.
Yeah, beaver style bait. But I was throwing that, and it was going through most everything, and I had a light punch. I wasn't a heavy punch on there. I think it was...
He wasn't able to get through everything I was able to. And again, I'm throwing that like 3/4 to 1 ounce.
It smells like licorice.
Yeah, that stuff does stink. So, I mean, realistically, best performing baits of the day was going to be Cinco, punch, and either chatterbait, spinnerbait.
Yeah.
That was pretty much our best performing baits out of the whole day. I didn't really throw crankbait that much. I guarantee you there's crankbait bite. This was the same day that Bass Hole had their video. Same day that Bass Hole did their tournament. I'm sure they crushed it. Well, I mean, we're not pro in any means. We just share experiences. But we didn't cover a whole lot. Like, it's a screw around day. So we kind of hit our basics. We haven't been on the Delta in a while, so we're going to hit our normal stuff that we go to, get a feel for it. And I think next time I go to the Delta, I'm going to spread out a little bit more and try and find, or I should say revisit areas that I haven't been to in a while to see how bad the spraying has been, basically. So there's like all that, like South Franks to Mildred to Orwood, kind of that area is kind of what I want to go run down and take a look at, because it may be more consistent than the areas we've been hitting more often.
You got a bunch of comments there, sir.
Oh my Lord.
Start right there.
You guys sell those hats or just teasing us with the merch? If I could make somebody make these hats, I would 100% sell them. Would you guys buy, like, these hats, 25 bucks plus shipping? Because that's the problem, is I don't know how much shipping is. He has one with the full logo on it. But then I just have the 3 letters. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Let me know. I think hats would be easier than shirts, because hats are a little more one size fits all. Yeah. Shirts, it's really hard to find a company that has like a true to fit shirt that's affordable enough that people would want to pay for them and not be a $30 or $60 shirt.
Yeah.
I don't think we're that important of a channel for a $60 shirt. Champ kind says $12.50. $12.50, no problem. PHX Marine in Arizona is a dealer. They'll save you a ton of tax. That's for
that express.
The express boats. That's a hell of a drive for a dealer, for myself. But it may be worth it to have the boat. Get says, speaking of hats, that's for the match the hatch hat. The match the hatch hat that he's gonna get. Yeah. It's kind of an inside joke. It's kind of an inside joke in the club for match the hatch. Bomber T says he had a bass cat and he'll never go back to a glass boat. I mean, that's super cool. Yeah. Like, if you like, every boat is the same. I will say I run a nitro. I probably will not buy a nitro next time I buy a boat unless they change the hull design. If they change the hull design, then I will. Or I'll look at them again, but I probably won't go back to nitro.
They did change the 21-foot nitro.
They changed the 21 XL, has a different hull in it, and I would be interested in that, but I want them to make it in a 20-foot. I like speed. Or I can get the 300 on the 21. Anyways.
Yeah.
If you guys ever fish around Holland, yes, that'll be the area that I'm going to be heading towards next time I'm on the water for Delta. Maybe not this weekend, but the weekend after. And then there's a tournament the week or two after that coming up. Steve Sumner, what's up, guys? What's happening, Steve? Mildred, Holland, Old River, and that entire area is my main water. So yeah, if you're out there, we'll probably run into you with your Express.
Yeah.
Express runs mid-70s. I don't doubt it. That's yeah, you're probably faster than I am at this point.
Definitely faster than me.
I'm definitely missing some speed right now on my engine.
Yeah.
I'm missing
my nitro's heavy, or my Ranger's heavy.
Yeah.
And I only got a 225.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm missing some speed on that. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm missing a little bit. Oh. Ivy Prime says he has a 21 with a 300 on it. How fast is that? I'm curious. How fast can you get? Because I'm legit thinking about maybe getting a 21. if I can get the 300 on it for the next boat. I just want to know, is it worth it? Like, can I get the speed out of it back? Because the reason why I don't go with the 21 is because it's slower with the 250 on it. But if I can get up 50 horsepower, then it would go. One Hand Fishing has a Vexus VX21. I'm not that rich. IB Prime says 80.4. Yeah, now you're talking. I'm down with that. Like 100% down with that. I'm good with touching high 70s, 80s.
Yeah,
that'd be badass. My boat when I first got it was like 76, and right now I'm like fighting to get 71 right now. And I'm not sure. I've changed my electronics since then. I run 212s on the front. I'm not sure if that's what it is, or if I bring more tackle, or what. But I'm missing like 5 miles an hour. Same prop, same setup, same jack plate. I'm not sure what I'm missing on that. I got to play around with it some more. And I have a manual jack plate, so.
It's a lot more playing.
One Hand Fishing, get a Vexus. If I could afford a Vexus, I would. I can't afford those. That's, there's a reason why I run a Nitro 20. And that's because I can't afford a Bass Cat or a Vexus or a Skeeter. I'm a solo income, so I can have toys, I just can't have that expensive of toys. Gator Tracks has the best boat on the market now. Those boats are unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know anything about Gator Tracks. I know that is what Keith Boucher runs, and he's literally jumping things. Rachel, your wife, says, you go 80 and I will never get in your boat again. Well,
if she doesn't get in our boat at 50.
You get it up on pad, and she's like, slow down. It's like, we're doing 32. It'll be okay. I'm not even doing half speed yet.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about Delta or anything that went down in Delta for the long sidetrack of talking about driving fast and driving boats? Because I could talk about boats all day long.
We did catch a lot of fish. I think we caught probably 20 plus fish. Nothing big, but we were catching decent fish.
Getz and Matlock were fishing basically between B&W and Sycamore.
I think, yeah.
Somewhere in that area. We don't know exactly what it was. But they were in that ballpark area. They were fishing kind of the same baits we were fishing. And they caught like 5, how do you say it? Like 5 or 6 or 10 or something like that.
I know they got a bunch of dinks.
They caught a bunch of dinks. They caught fish. The MLF just got one in that stretch between Tower Park and the other is where the MLF, like literally, and from what I understand, there was a ton of boats in that area. We didn't drive up that way, not because the MLF is just, we didn't check that area. Those are kind of our go-to areas. Like if we know we need to scrap a limit and we got like 3 fish and an hour left, we run to that area to finish that up. We don't need to pre-fish that area to kind of know how to figure something out decently quick in that area.
Yeah.
So we kind of leave those areas alone. That brings us to who won the hot dogs? Who got the lunch?
We got a couple more comments here.
Well, that kind of goes back into it.
Right.
It says, when's the next ice cream date? That's the, we all got ice cream after the hot dogs, so it was a nice, 4 dudes ice cream date. Champ asked who caught the most fish. Out of our boat, I don't even know who caught the most fish out of our boat. We kind of caught a lot of fish out of our boat.
Yeah,
I wish I had it on footage and I could tell you exactly, but cameras, always nice. Story of a YouTuber. But we caught more fish than they did from what they're reporting. So, end of the day, what was it, like 11:30. We were supposed to, oh no, sorry, 12:30, 12:15, I think.
Yeah.
We were supposed to come back to the ramp, meet at the ramp at 1 o'clock. It was 12:15, and we looked at each other and was like, it's stupid hot. There's no wind.
We should have picked 12.
We should have picked 12 o'clock. How about we just drive back nice and slow, get better fuel mileage? We're still out by the glass house area. Let's just drive back. And as we were pulling up underneath the bridge, right there at B&W, Getz and Matlock were fishing on that bank. And they were thinking the same thing of, yeah, we should have picked 12.
Yeah.
So we weighed them right then and there. Getz and Matlock had a 2.6 or 2.5 something.
2.55.
2.55. And we, or Brian, had a 2.7 something.
I think it was 7.7.
7.7. And then I think our second biggest fish might have beat them too.
Yeah, possibly.
Because I had a 2.5, like almost like 2.5, 2.6 that I caught on spinnerbait. So it was not a knockout. We aren't pro.
No.
We had a daily constant reminder.
On our scale, it said we had 11.99 for 5.
Yeah.
We're not pro. Right?
Yeah. And yeah, it was 11.99 for 5. We did do a lot of screw around time and a lot of just, if we were fishing a tournament, we would have stayed in certain areas and not moved on. But I don't think
picked them harder. I'm sure
we wouldn't have got to 15.
No,
we probably at best we could have not even got 15. It'd been like 14, 13, somewhere around there. Getz says the scale is off. We got to reweigh.
You already bought the hot dogs.
Red always wins the hot dogs. He just likes choking on hot dogs. That's what it is.
They were chili cheese dogs, by the way.
They were chili cheese dogs.
They were delicious.
Oh,
and then put a ice cream cone right on the backside of that.
Yep.
It was a good day. I'll just let you know that I drove out there. I drove the boat. James might have napped all the way home.
I napped on the way out. I napped on the boat a couple of different times, and I hit the wall like big time. There's a reason why I'm having troubles talking. Is I'm exhausted. Work's been kicking my butt. Have you ever fished Discovery Bay? Yes, I have fished Discovery Bay. We usually launch at B&W. My brother used to live in Discovery Bay, so I've definitely fished in that area multiple times. I do like the area. It's just a drive from B&W, but I'm not afraid to go down there. So the overall winner, hot dogs, we actually ended up pulling it out. I didn't think we would. I thought we were going to get our butt kicked.
Yeah. Thought for sure they were going to have a 5 or something.
Yeah, 100% thought they were going to have a 5. That was basically kind of the ballpark of the whole day.
Yeah. One of the questions was, what tides do we like to run? I like outgoing, preferably.
Yeah, I like high switched outgoing.
Yeah, I like that outgoing tide, that high side. I'd rather, if I was going to fish, if I was going to pick somewhere when I want to fish, it's going to be that high tide outgoing the whole time, because of the thought process of, say like you fish in an island or you're fishing a flat or something, the tide's pulling out. So all that bait, anything that's in there is pulling out, and those fish are sitting on the outside.
Yeah,
waiting for that stuff to come out.
It makes them more predictable for reaction baits.
Correct.
Like the chatterbaits, like walking baits, frogs. It lets them be up in that areas that we just like to power fish through, basically. Yeah. I actually do like the last bit of incoming, the ending of high tide, or the last. How do you even say that? I'm lost in it. The switch, right before the switch, the high tide switch, right before, I like that section right there. Definitely, and then I've also had, I'm just not really a low tide kind of person.
No.
Like I've gotten better now that I understand punching a little bit more. I've gotten to understand that low tide. But I like to be able to throw on the backside of weed edges. I like to be able to throw on points, toolies.
There's certain places that low tide is that you can find, and if you find them, are very good, right? And usually those areas aren't good for high tide.
One of our areas that used to exist that doesn't have any tulies on it anymore inside Potato was actually mid-level. Like you wanted the tide to be halfway out, and then they would be when that tide's really, really going, it needed that current to pull through there. And that area is shot now. There is like 3 pieces of tulies out of that whole area that's left.
Getsy said, so did Matlock, and Matlock responded as well and said, I definitely snoozed on the way home.
We were all dragging ass on Sunday, that's for sure.
One Hand Fishing is asking, can you explain how to run the tide?
So how to run the tide is, so let's say I pick up a tide, or let's say I pick up a bite that's in from like the tide switch to when the current just starts going for the first half hour. So it's like high tide's here, right? And then you have that first half hour, like if you're looking at a tide chart, that first half hour of that outgoing. So you got slack to that outgoing. And then your bite window is right there. Like that's where you're getting bit.
Yeah.
So if you look at a tide chart and you pick up, not Discovery Bay, what's the other bay? The bay that's over by the bridge.
Big Break?
Big Break. So if you look at the tide at Big Break, you'll see where the high tide is and what time it is. Mm-hmm. And then you look at where the high tide is and what time it is at Georgiana, or I think they call it Prisoner's Point. Prisoner's Point is the opening of Potato-ish area.
Yeah.
So in that area. So if you take the high tide here and the high tide there, there's like an hour discrepancy between the two. Okay, well, if I'm only fishing a half hour block and I have an hour discrepancy between these two, that means I can go here, fish a half hour. That gives me enough time to drive to the next place and fish a half hour there. So all you're doing is moving with the high points of the tide, and that's what you're running in the tides. Now, the trick to all of that is finding areas that set up the same in different places that you can run between. Now, you can change that. You can run 15 minutes, drive somewhere, catch 15 minutes, drive somewhere, catch 15 minutes, and that gives you more pockets of windows to hit. Instead of trying to hit the whole 30 minutes, you're only hitting 15 of that. And you're just trying to hit those pockets and you are skipping between. So like, let's say I have a long drive to get to my next pocket that I know of. I can stay here and fish longer because that's gonna be a little bit longer before it hits. But if my next pocket is right down the street, I may wanna fish less here so that I could go there during that half hour window and catch them inside that window. So when they say running the tides, that's what they're talking about, is you're basically you find your little, where you get bit on that wave of your tide swing and duplicate that tide swing with the same, we'll say riprap, no weeds.
Yeah.
Or tulies, solo tule clumps.
Yeah.
And you run that along and you can follow that tide all the way in and then
chase that moving water. Wherever you want it, you want to chase that moving water if that's what your bite is.
Yeah.
And I'll say it. It was something that we learned doing the first frog tournament.
Yeah, the frog tournament, I forgot.
Ultimate frog tournament.
UFC 8, whatever UFC 8 was. I don't even know what it is now. But UFC 8, because we were restricted to only throwing frogs, that's when the light bulb hit with us about being able to run with stuff. And then we actually did that on Sunday, and we were able to put together, still learning. We're still learning now when it comes to that. But
we had like 12.42 for three fish.
Yeah, it was, and there was no big fish. They were all very consistent.
Yeah.
4-pounders, 4 something.
We didn't have anything over 4.
Yeah, our biggest fish was like a 450 or something like that, and we had 12 or like 12 and a half.
It was 12.
I don't know. You can go back to the video. It's titled in here. It's in the old thing.
But that's what we learned was we don't want any of that slack tide for throwing the frog.
Oh, that would be the other thing of running running the tide. Everybody knows it's hard to get bit on slack tide. So basically, like we did in the morning, we went to potato. When it went slack, we moved towards the tide. Knowing that slack tide is slowly working its way inland, we went towards the bay.
Big break.
Big break. We went towards Big Break to pick up the incoming or outgoing, sorry. Because at Big Break, that tide's already starting to go out while potato is still slack because that water has to fall out before the potato water falls out.
Correct.
So all we did is just move to new moving water and then fish that and then go back in. Slack tide. That's like tide pods, but slightly different. G-Rod says it's all about punching. Most of the people who fish Delta are punch, frog, and chatterbait. I'm not that good at chatterbait. I can catch fish on chatterbait, but I'm not that good, and I'm not that good at punching, but I'm still learning both of those. Frogs, I feel like I can be okay at frogs, but I am no Bobby Barrett.
No.
That's for sure. That guy has more knowledge that he forgot than I even know about frogs. Bomber T says, I quit chasing tides ever since gas hit $4. Yeah, we only chase one direction.
Yeah.
There is like, you can like start at high tide. You can have like a bite at high tide switch and you can have a bite at low tide switch. And by the time you run east enough or inland enough, using that high tide, if you get far enough along, you can actually go back to here and do the low tide switch and run that same thing. So you basically hopscotch down,
so much gas,
run all the way back, and then hopscotch down with the low tide switch until you run out of time or weigh in or whatever it is. But that's the same amount of gas who are people who are launching at Russo's and running 45 minutes to go get their thing. Like, that tournament better pay a lot to make it worth it. We fish club tournament stuff. It's not worth it to run them.
Bomber T is asking if we've ever fished Liberty Island. Smaller fish, but fun.
Liberty has some not so small fish in them.
Yeah. But it's a lot. That's going back to that $4 or $5 in gas, right? Like, we're launching it.
Yeah,
you win typically.
You win a club tournament and you're getting like a couple $100 at most. At most, depending on if everybody shows up. That's just the gas price to go there and back. I mean, cool, you get like the points and stuff, but it's not worth the run to Liberty.
Yeah.
So I've definitely played around in there, caught some decent fish in there. I don't quite understand how Liberty sets up. There's some things that I don't understand in there. There's a lot of it's a lot of different territory, but it definitely has fish.
I can't wait for the new launch ramp.
There is supposed to be a launch ramp I keep hearing about that's supposed to be there. If they put a launch ramp on Liberty, I will 100%. But I usually launch out of Vieira's and drive up.
Champ Kine asked about slack tide, but it was answered.
Oh, yeah. One hand fishing answered it appropriately. I answered it inappropriately.
Yeah.
Slack tide's where, what he said. It's where the tide is switching. So it's no longer coming in, no longer going out. And it's kind of that stalemate before it goes back out again. Thank you all for the detailed explanation of running the tide. You're welcome. If you watch our lives consistently, which I've definitely seen you watching and commenting on other videos and stuff, which I greatly appreciate. The lives, we share a lot more information, especially this deep into lives, because not everyone gets to these end of these, and I like to give little bonus stuff. And if you're watching my regular videos, we also say a little bit more on the back half than we do the front half. We say like these all little extra stuff in there. Again, to thank the people who are watching, to keep watching.
Bomber T's, it's all about fun. Tourneys are way overrated. But But that's why we're in a club. Like
we're
our
club level.
We're at a club level. It's all about. It's mainly like a social group. Like we all get together and we fish. And it's a tournament, but there's not much money involved. In it. So
it's $40 a boat. Entry. That's for 2 people, team tournament.
So $20 a person.
$20 a person, and that's including big fish. It's $30 towards first, second, third, and $10 towards big fish per boat. And then you just go out and have fun. So, and that keeps it lighthearted. After every weigh-in, the top 3 talk about how they did it, and the big fish talks about what bait they used.
That's why.
Obviously, Saturdays. Yeah, that's where Match the Hatch came from. Obviously, Saturdays, people are a little more guarded. I don't care. I say whatever.
No.
I mean, everybody knows if I'm going to be lying or not because I'm going to make a video about it anyways. The club is Fairfield Sassoon Bass Reapers. If you're in we have people in Turlock. We have a guy out of Nevada, Sparks, Nevada, that's in our club. He's a brother or brother-in-law or
brother-in-law, I think.
Something like that with one of our club members. So he fishes with us periodically. You don't have to be immediate local. You do have to make one meeting and fish some tournaments with us. So we are always taking people if you're interested. Bomber T says, I used to fish the Federation in Wild West. Wasn't fun anymore. Yeah, those are like the big sticks stuff. We aren't quite good enough to be in the big sticks.
We're not big sticks people.
I'd love to be, but yeah, we're not that good.
It costs so much money.
That's a lot of it is if you aren't in top 3, you're spending money, not making money. Hi, Stephanie. Definitely my fave. I appreciate it. I don't remember what I said.
That was for Liberty.
Oh, Liberty. Yeah. There's the people who understand Liberty do really well in there.
Really good. There's a lot of tournaments won out of there.
There's oh shoot, Alan Fong likes Liberty a lot. He's always kind of in there. And then Frey Experience, I think is his name.
I think so.
Yeah, Frey Experience likes Liberty a lot too, and some other areas he goes to. But I don't know for sure. I haven't talked to him, but I think that's Liberty.
One Hand Fishing asked what club, which we said Fairfield Sassoon Bass Reapers, and how many people are in it. We're beginning a new season. Our last season we had 50 paid members. Yeah, we have 50 paid members, and then there's a couple perspectives that are coming in. So that's growing still, but we're at 50 paid members. Our last tournament we had 17 boats. 17 boats, yeah. 17 boats. So not bad. It's still club. Like it's not pro level. Just everybody fun. Like there's more shit talking that goes on between people than and joking and camaraderie and stuff like that than anything serious. So if you're interested, it's 6:30 first Tuesday of every month. You could always hit me up on Instagram for details or whatever. It's at Round Table Pizza in Cordelia. So if you guys are interested, you can always either hit me up on Instagram or show up to the meeting. Our worst meeting of the year was just this last month, so they're all great meetings after this. That was all the officers' nominations and all that other stuff. Bylaws and all that. So I don't think was there any other comments that are on here? That's it. We always appreciate to share our information, although we're not pro. We're still learning ourselves. There was a comment on one of my recent videos of somebody who reminded me I'm not pro, even though I already knew I'm not pro. Yeah, if we were pro, we'd be fishing some tournaments. I'll be honest with you, if I was pro, I don't know if I'd say as much as I say now. So definitely although we do hold some slight things back only because we have a tournament coming. We don't want to show all of our cards, even though it's club level. Like we say most of it, but there's like tiny little details we hold back. But then when that video comes out for the tournament,
We say everything.
Yeah.
Like we don't hold anything back at that point. I think the biggest thing that I ever held back was the Silly Sally at the Delta last year. I ran it for like 2 months before we actually talked about it, catching a bunch of fish, and it's just a wake bait. Like it's cranked down wake bait.
And then at the tournament, it was worthless. Didn't catch any fish on it.
I was like super secretive. We're not going to talk about it. This is going to be our golden ticket in the tournament. Like we're catching all these big fish on it, and we're getting bit like we never got bit before.
Yeah.
Tournament rolls around. I had 1.5 pounds on it, unbuttoned like a 2-pounder that jumped off, and never got bit on it the whole tournament. And it was, I think it was like a Cinco and chatterbait tournament.
Yeah.
And I basically was like, yeah, that's what I get for being secretive. I should just talk anyways. It's not worth it. Like you might as well just, it's a month away. It's going to change.
Yeah,
and that's part of the reason why I was throwing the Silly Sally. It was about this time, early summer-ish, when it was working really, really well. Bass Pro anglers keep it quiet and always lie. Yeah, I mean, they kind of keep it quiet because they don't want to get hole jumped, or they think they have something individual like the Silly Sally. And it's just a timing thing. Oh, for those of you still here, Ken Ma just dropped a video yesterday on his channel, his YouTube channel. If you care about the Delta, watch that video like 100%. He is saying some stuff in there that we don't, like, obviously we don't know everything, but stuff in there that I was like, oh, I never thought about it that way. Like different angles of things. Just, if you're watching this, I know you'd be interested in it. Watch the Ken Ma video. One Hand Fishing says that he saw it. I don't know if he watched it or not. I'm guessing he's saying he watched it, but yeah, it was, it's pretty informative. Definitely worth the time. It's like 1.5 hours or something like that. Worth every minute. 100% made me rethink a couple of things that I've even thought about how, like, there's a section in there where he talks about what he's looking for, sets up on an island. Like, he actually says how he's, kind of his thought process on it. Not many people are talking about that kind of stuff. And that even opened my eyes a little bit of thinking back to actually the Silly Sally, where we were getting bit on the Silly Sally. Made sense. When he described it, that was where our bite was on that Silly Sally.
Yeah.
So for those of you who watch it, you could put 2 and 2 together on that one. I used to fish with Bud Tosh a lot, and he's never honest. Yeah, it's Bud Tosh. He's
pro.
He's very entertaining though.
Yeah.
Very entertaining.
He wins a lot of tournaments.
Yeah. Moons play a big part on the Delta. Lunar phases are half the battle. I think lunar phases are more tide related. I'm not sold on the lunar phases. He's a little more sold on it. I'm not sold on it. I've kept track of it like loosely, not like notebook journal check track on it. I don't really see it in lakes as much as I would like, enough that I just have one less puzzle that I have to worry about, and I step it aside.
For me, I am definitely a little more vetted into it. Like, I want, if I have a chance to be fishing, right, on those peak times for those lunar phases, I want to have lines in the water. Yeah. I don't want to be running around graphing. I want to have lines in the water. Not saying that it's the end all, but I think that definitely there is some of that is going to help the fishing, right? There's more activity in that time frame. I definitely agree with it, say sturgeon fishing, and fishing like stuff like that. The activity is way higher, and I've actually kept track on a notebook doing sturgeon fishing in those time frames, that those are the best times to catch fish.
Yeah.
Now, does that relate to bass fishing?
It probably does. Don't get me wrong.
It probably does. I don't think it's the end of anything. I just think that I would rather have lines in the water at that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the comment was Cooch used to swear on moon phases. Yeah, I know Cooch was big on moon phases.
Yeah. And there's two different moon phases. If you're this far, we're an hour in. If you're that far into this, there's two phases of moon phases. There's a major and a minor. The minors are when the sun is rising or setting, and the major is straight above you or straight below you. And there's a couple hours for the majors, and there's like 3 hours for majors and 2 hours for minors.
Yeah.
In those time frames.
But so like delta, I think they coincide with each other because the moon is what's moving the tide.
Correct.
So if you time, it's the same thing as finding like, okay, so like one of our spots is like a 3 foot swing, and then like it's probably a 4 foot swing, then it's like a 2.5 foot swing, and then it matches with like a 4 or 5 foot swing that goes up higher. So it's like a little hump and then a big hump. That outgoing before that big hump is that middle point is where we want to go to one of our areas that's the most productive during that phase time.
Right.
Now, if you kept track of in order to get that moon to do that, in order to get that tide to do that, the moon and the earth have to be in a certain alignment with each other without going way into the weeds on it. Technically, that would be a major minor thing in order to get that lining lined up right.
Yeah.
So I 100% think that there is a thing. I just haven't paid attention to it as much.
Again, like I said, I don't think it's the end all. I just think in those time frames you should be fishing.
Yeah. Well, I just fish. And if I'm still catching fish, I stay. And if I don't catch fish, I move. Right. But I end up kind of fishing those. I end up fishing because later on he'll say, oh, the minor was this or the major was this. And I end up catching fish in that time throughout the day. But like maybe our bigger fish came in that time. But then there's some times where my biggest fish came outside of the major and minor in that dead zone. And they're in there. So
I don't think it's the end all.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to get Boomer T or Bomber T. I'm gonna have to get lessons from you of how it works, because maybe I shouldn't say that. I know I don't know. So I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah. We got off into the weeds and a couple of different things.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna wrap this up. Big swim baits and moons play a big part on the motherlode lakes as well. I don't throw big swim baits that often. Glide baits, I'll throw big glides. I'm not good enough to know how to do the big bait game. Yeah. I'm not patient enough. I'm gonna rephrase that. I'm not patient enough for the big bait game.
I can do it.
One of our buddies is, though. He will 100% throw big baits all day long, no problem. Catches fish on them. I don't have the patience. I'll just go screw around and catch a bunch of babies. But maybe that's why I'm not pro.
Possibly. You do throw the small Sinkos.
I do throw the 5-inch Sinkos. I don't know. I don't think it matters whether it's a 5 or a 6. He says he knows Jason Remmer's secrets. LOL. Yeah, I don't know anybody's secrets besides my own. All right, y'all. That's it. I'm not sure where we're fishing this weekend.
There's wind everywhere.
There's wind everywhere. We were trying to go halibut fishing. Not sure if we can get that lined up. I think the wind's going to blow us off the water.
Maybe go crappie fishing.
The morning,
Clear Lake this weekend.
Might do 15th. The crappie closet tournament this Saturday out of Fifth Street.
Fifth Street, yeah.
Crappie closet's on Instagram. You can hit them up. And you can ask some questions if you have any of that stuff. We might go to that. If the wind dies down, we're probably going to go halibut fishing because the tide is right.
Tide is
in the bay. It's like good tide. Just the wind is going to blow us off. Might have a little bit of Berryessa afternoon, trying to find top water. He's got the Thursday nighters for Berryessa. Thursday nighters coming up soon. So screw around with the afternoon bite there. I'm not sure what we're going to do. It's all going to depend on wind. So stay tuned. There's either going to be a regular video or there'll be some sort of regular video a week from today. And then we might do a live. Depends on how it's going to go. Maybe I just do a live. Maybe he's joined in. Don't know. Stay tuned. I hate saying this, but if you guys want to subscribe, it'll tell you about it. I'm not really a guy who breaks for subscribers. If you want to, do it. If you don't, don't. I thought I just sent. Bomber T said he loves Barry, and Eddie Young,
yeah,
Ewing, said thanks for sharing. Thanks for watching, you guys. Champ keeps pulling for Folsom.
Well, that's because it's Champ kind.
Folsom's gonna be so many wakeboard boats. And
yeah,
I do like what's on the wakeboard boats, just not the wakeboard boats themselves.
Yeah. It's really hard to fish with them.
Thanks for subbing, Bomber T. And with that, until next time, I hope you get them.